So there you have it. As Sharmila suggests, if you don't have it, it should be advisable not to get in. But moving on to Hindustan Copper, question from Harshit. He says he's bought Hindustan Copper at 99. And, well, he wants to know what can be done with this. It's clearly halved right now. It's at around 45.5. I'm wondering, I'm going to take a technical view here first. And, well, Hindustan Copper in a bit of a pickle. Jignesh, may I come to you on this one? How would you trade Hindustan Copper at this point in time, and how would you help the viewer out?
Yes, I think currently the chart structure is not positive, as it is already forming lower tops and lower bottoms from a long time. And if I see on the charts, I think the stock has been the stock is going down from the level 60 from the level of 60 it has fallen really down, and then it is taking support at around 40, 44, 45 some levels. I think currently chart structure is not that positive. However, stock has already formed a bottom, and from the bottom it is taking a bounce. So I think this bounce can be prolonged to the level to 47.50. So I think this stock should be held for current levels. Stock can go to 47.48 levels. When it goes to 47.48, we will have to review the chart once again, as chart is not very good and falling trend line comes at the level of 48. So we should be cautious at 47.48 levels. So once it has to reach 48, and then we can review it.
Various accounts that this particular company has in terms of lending. But moving on to the next question, we have a question on TCS, the March series. And by that, I mean, it's probably a point of view of next 3 to 4 days, considering expiries this Thursday. Is currently at 1954, and it is actually showing some strength too, TCS. It's up 1.5%. Jignesh, your view on TCS, keeping in mind the Thursday expiry?
Yes, for the Thursday expiry, it looks pretty positive. Yes, from current levels, it is showing the sign of going on the upper levels. I think 1940 should be the stop loss. 1953, 1954 is the current levels. 10 to 15 rupees stop loss beneath the current levels, and stock can go to 1980 some levels in next 2 to 3 days.
50,000 rupees in each with a 5-year perspective. Well, Sharmila has already given you that answer. But moving on to a short-term view on JK Paper, we have a question from Karan Singh. Let's bring up JK Paper and address it with Jignesh. JK Paper currently at 132, and as we all know, JK Paper has seen some strength over, well, I would say the previous few months, even though there has been, the last 1 month or so has been a little volatile for paper stocks. Jignesh, how would you trade JK Paper? What's your short-term view here?
My short-term view for the JK Paper is negative, just because although the counter has given a great up move in the August, and stock went from 100 levels to 190, but then in the recent months all the positivity has been negated in the counter. Counter went below 150, suggests that it has broken its important support line. So from the current levels, I would not suggest to buy JK Paper, and if viewer has it, he should consider exit from these levels.
Broadcasting space in general. And on that note, we're going to take a view on ITC. Well, we need a 3-month view here. Dipesh wants to know what can be done with ITC. And ITC has been moving around 270, 275, thereabout. It's largely just, consolidating at this time. But Jignesh, what would you do, keeping 3 months in perspective? How would you trade ITC?
I think ITC is a clear-cut bullish call. I think currently the chart structure is not only positive, the stock is staying above its support lines. Recently, stock has corrected, but whenever the correction happened, stock has taken supports from its support line. I think currently it is forming a triangle pattern as well, although we haven't seen the breakout yet. But falling trend lines suggest that the falling trend line is very very near to the current level, around 290 some level. So whenever we have a 290 breakout, we can clearly set the target of 330 for this counter for next 3 months. I think currently, if viewer has it, he can hold it with a stop loss of 260. 260 levels, and if he doesn't have, he can buy it after the breakout could be seen after stock breaches above 290 levels.
Okay, well, Jignesh, we have one more question for you. The question is from Rajesh, and he wants to know, he's bought Nilkamal at about 1650, and he actually wants to know if it is a right time to average. Of course, it's for the long term, but in the near term, do you see any substantial movements or perhaps levels at which where you could buy into Nilkamal?
Well, I don't think Nilkamal is an attractive counter at current levels because the stock has not only breached its long-term support line. Long-term support line is the support line for this counter from last around 3 to 5 years. If you see from the level of 1100, stock made the higher levels at around 2200. Then it was constantly trading above the support line, but since it has broken 1700 levels, the stock is trading below its current below its support line, and I think it is not currently a good time to go into the stock, even if at these lower levels counter is not showing any good volumes. So I think staying away is something I would suggest, or even if there is a loss, viewers should take a bold call and get out of this counter.
We also noticed is that Motherson Sumi, with the 2 straight days of gains, has also moved above its crucial 50 and 100 daily moving averages. So with that, Jignesh, if you could also tell us whether or not technically things have now changed substantially for Motherson Sumi.
I don't see very substantial change on this counter, but one thing is very sure for this counter, that this counter was ready to take distance away from the 200-day simple moving average, and that distance used to be around 100 rupees from 200-day moving average. And currently stock has completed that distance over lower side, so we consider it as a momentum count completed for the counter. So we were expecting a bounce, and the bounce has already come. I think this is one upspurt which is suggesting that counter is already forming a bottom. From current levels, I think enough levels are enough bounce is already taken, and counter should find resistance at 160, 165 some levels. But currently one cannot take an entry for the short term, but for the long term, definitely this counter is getting positive. 158 is even not a bad price to take a positional view on this counter. The stop loss for this counter should be the earlier lows, which is at around 130 some levels. If you want to hold this counter for 1 year, 2 years, this is the time that Motherson Sumi can be bought.
Okay, view. Jignesh, this one is for you. JSPL.
For 6-month view, counter is going to turn negative. So if he has bought at current levels, and if it is loss of only 3 rupees, he should consider exit.
Okay, well, a question from Gaurav on Canara Bank. Jignesh, I'm going to take this one up with you again. Let's pull up Canara Bank. It's currently at 223, up only 0.5%. What would you do with this one, Jignesh?
I think avoid is my suggestion for this counter. This counter, although is taking a bounce, but bounce cannot be sustained because counter has resistance at every upper level.